Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is December 2nd, 2022. How are you? We're on the last month of the year. That's crazy. It's the first of the month. So, you know what that means? It's time to pay fucking rent, it's time to pay all your fucking utilities, all those bills just fucking set. Awesome. We love it. Great. But I didn't bring you here for some, depressing ass shit like that. I mean, I maybe I do. You know how I am. You know how the news is. Um, we got some interesting stuff to talk about though, but we will get to that, of course, of course. Let's start with the personal news. It is my news, Sam. We got to talk about me a little bit, right? We talk about me a lot. But essentially, it's been another good one. We're riding on good vibrations. So that feels good. That's nice. Busy at work. I have a fun story. So I'm working the trash compactor today. I'm doing my Oscar the Grouch. And, the crusher that I'm working, filling with cardboard, it's filling up. It's doing its thing. It's letting me know, hey, lights on. We're getting there. And every once in a while I'll hear this like clicking noise. And what I assume here, because I'm not, a Rumpke specialist or whatever. Rumpke is the trash dump uh, company that does our trash deliveries, whatever. But essentially, it does this like clicking noise sometimes when it's getting like really filled. And sometimes I'm like, is that like the thing bracing or like containing it? I don't know. Whatever. Is it too loose? Like sometimes you don't hear that. Sometimes it's normal. I don't know. But essentially, it was doing that clicking thing. I'm like, okay, that's a little weird, a little bizarre. And then next thing I know, I just hear, I hear and I feel this big boom pop. And I'm kind of freaked out. I curl up and immediately walk out of my little compactor area, and I can see in the window in the other compactor, like I can look at the compactor that I was just in, and I see on the ground there's a clamp that holds the crusher, the compactor on one side. And I was like, okay, so it popped again. This isn't the first time that's happened. So I was like, okay, well, I guess that's the end of my day. So that's how I started the weekend with a bang. But essentially, other than that, what other personal stuff I like to talk about? Food. You know I like to talk about food. Regulars, that's me all the time. I'm always looking for the next lick, quite literally. Um, we got a little weird at Penn Station, and I decided to get the large Philly. Now, I initially ordered it East Coast style, but I got weird, and it was like towards the end of the night, and I think they just kind of like got the order done, and I'm fine with it. Honestly, it was good, and I didn't want to hassle him. It was whatever. But the cool thing was part of the add-on that I wanted to do on top of the East Coast thing, which didn't work out. I wanted to get pickles on it. So essentially, they just got that part right, and then like everything else is good. I got like banana peppers, mayo, mustard, more or less just a traditional Philly shit, I guess, depending on who you're asking. But yeah, it was good. I loved it with the fries. Um, Other than that, though, pretty much standard issue week for your boy. Like I said, it is the 1st of December. It's Christmas time. I feel like we can kind of embrace the vibes. I mean, obviously, last week I was talking about, Mariah Carey, so you know what that means. But yeah, sadly, there's not much Christmas joy in the news set that I have for you guys. Quite the contrary, I guess. But we're gonna start off in Hawaii, so that's neat. That's nice. Sounds like we're gonna talk about it like a vacation. But I don't know. I would not want to go to this Hawaii destination right now. Um, because, and I got this from Yahoo News and the Associated Press, lava from Hawaii volcano lights night's sky amid warnings. So this takes place in Kalalua Kona, Hawaii, and the volcano is Mauna Loa. So I think as of right now, like throughout this week, it hasn't made any kind of like problem. Like no one's been hurt. Yeah, and it's like, I mean, what do you mean? There's an active volcano. Like there's lava. What are you talking about? Essentially, they were kind of like hoping that the volcano was going to um like the lava was going to have its eruption because this was going to make sense. It kind of lines up. I think it's been about 40 years since it last happened. And they were hoping like, okay, it's going to like leak into this chamber of the volcano and it's kind of settle there. That would be like the best case. It didn't do that. And it actually started coming out of like, I think like several areas and you could see lava flow. But luckily, it's on the side of the volcano that's not really inhabited. So they just like have people on alert. They're like, hey, don't go near the lava streams. Don't like go through that area. Um, excuse me, I got a burp brewing. There it is. All right, sorry about that. But essentially, kind of scary. Like I don't know. I can't remember what the movie was. It might have been Dante's Peak or something like that. And maybe I'm getting it wrong. What the natural disaster was there, but volcanoes are no joke. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen any like the Nat Geos or whatever, where they have like the videos of guys handling lava. Like, shit is scary. Like, very intense, very powerful stuff. But like I said, no one's been hurt or anything. Like, no casualties from what I've heard. So that's good. I think essentially it's just happening. And then hopefully after, people are going to go back to, standard operating procedure. But yeah, obviously there's more details here, but it won't keep us too long here. Um, let's see. And some other news, also from the Associated Press. Oath Keepers Rhodes guilty of January 6th seditious conspiracy. Now, I haven't covered too much January 6th shit. I don't think there's much stick to it. That's why I don't cover it too often. What I mean by that is, like, yeah, bad shit definitely fucking happened. We saw it happen live. If, you or me, I remember being in my break room and seeing this shit happen on the news. I'm like, what the fuck? And then also, there was well documented footage of all the shit that's happened. So, if you saw all this and then somehow as a collective whole and as a government, whatever, we're just not going to do anything. I mean, and now granted, it remains to be seen. And, we're obviously getting to some of this right now. Then like, what is there? I don't know. Like, it's a crazy ass situation to me. Like, I don't want to get into the weeds about it. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say, sorry, I'm getting turned around, but like the January 6th committee, like, yeah, cool. That's neat that you guys are doing this thing, but essentially, come next year, this shit's more or less going to be dissolved. So they've done some interesting stuff, done some like cool blockbuster quote unquote coverage of the situation and investigating, but it's seemingly like this conviction is probably going to be one of the bigger highlights of the January 6th like aftermath. Um, but I mean, the charge is definitely heavy. Let's see, yeah, seditious conspiracy. So essentially, that is plotting and acting to overthrow the government. I'm obviously giving you really bad paraphrasing of what the legalities, terminologies of what this is, but that's how we're interpreting it here. Essentially, there was five people, five defendants, but only Rhodes and Kelly Meggs got the seditious conspiracy. All five, though, were guilty of obstruction of an official proceeding, Congress certification of Biden's electoral victory. So, I mean, I guess I should run down what happened January 6th. If you were living under a rock, if you weren't here in the States, I don't know. I'd be very surprised if you somehow stumbled on my humble little podcast and didn't know about something like this. But anyway, we can do a little recap. Essentially, Biden was, he won the election. And then according to, Trump supporters, he didn't. And Trump didn't want to say die here. He didn't want to say I lost. So he didn't. And he mounted a pressure campaign on whoever he could to more or less find the votes. Meanwhile, people were denying that he won. That this was all still in flux, and that we shouldn't call this over. And essentially, what was, I mean, I think now it's been officially ratified as like, look, the whole ceremony here of Biden, his electoral victory being like announced here and everything, like you can't just overthrow this. You can't just interrupt this and like, oh, Biden's not president. Like, no, like he's president. Um, but essentially, people tried that day. And I mean, I guess it remains to be seen legally if Donald Trump is responsible for this or not. But this is kind of where the Oath Keepers come in because they were on the ground that day. They had some Oath Keepers actually protecting Trump that day. That was like part of their main job, quote unquote, their main modus operandi. I don't know what the word I'm looking for here. But essentially, they are kind of like the Proud Boys, which I'm just kind of throwing out another weird name here. And it's like, well, I don't know who these doofy motherfuckers are. Good. I would like that. Essentially, I would call it organized hooligans, especially with the Proud Boys. Now, with the Oath Keepers, this Rhodes guy, Stuart Rhodes, essentially, I found this out today. I was listening to something on the Daily. And it turns out this dude is a huge law nerd. And I mean, I'm not surprised. If you're wearing an eye patch, but then you're also wearing glasses, some bifocals, you're a fucking law nerd. I don't care. Like, I should have seen that a mile away. Like, duh. My man is like low key, Kroger brand Star Wolf. If you're familiar with the Starfuck series, that's what he looks like to me. But I mean, this dude meant business, and he talked a big game. He at times talked about like hanging Nancy Pelosi. Obviously, his main shtick here was literally propping up Donald Trump, and essentially, his idea and thought process here is like, look, we have to make sure that Donald Trump fights for the presidency, that he says he did not lose, and that Biden is not our legal president. Which is a thought process that a lot of Trump supporters were really leaning on. Hell, I've even had coworkers who I've gotten into conversations and discussions with, and it's like they are so wrapped up in the idea that this election was stolen from them because their guy didn't win. And I mean, it really is truly just, I don't know. It shows that this shit is like a thought virus, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And I think when the people at the top, because I mean, you see this even today still in Arizona, Carrie Lake, she's still not fucking giving it up, y'all. I'm not really giving it too much coverage. I don't think she's gonna get any traction. Like, you lost. Take the L. I mean, yeah. But speaking of L's, keeping it back on track, Rhodes decided with January 6th, we are going to make sure that Biden isn't going to, secure his election. Like, we are going to stop this. And when Trump, did his big spiel, said, yeah, we're walking, we're going, da 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 da. They, had a, perimeter on him. They also had people, like columns, that were, like, I guess, in the perimeter or near the crowd. And then essentially, as they were getting more and more riled up, Rhodes, I think he is there for part of it, leaves, and I think he literally goes to like a friend's house in the area to eat like chicken wings or some shit. And they hear, oh, it's popping off, like shit's getting like actually hectic. Things are getting kinetic, if you will. And he comes back out and then he starts issuing orders. Because essentially he's like a general to these people. Like, these people LARPed so hard. And it kind of makes sense, too. A lot of the background of these people are, like, ex-cop kind of dudes. Once again, I mean, we're talking Trump, MAGA, supporters. You get the vibe. These are militiamen who are living in the Midwest, or I guess maybe not Midwest, from all over, yeah. I don't know. I'm living in Ohio, y'all. So, sorry, I like to make everything about us. But, no, I mean, these are just guys, who are just similar ilk. And essentially, Rhodes is their leader, and he's commanding them, sending texts, making calls. Now, Rhodes, he actually does take to the stand here in his trial. and he more or less tries to downplay the things he says that they caught. Literally, they have like the text messages. Also, people recorded some of these phone calls that they were having with him because they were so freaked out by what they were hearing that they're like, okay, look, dude, I support Trump. I support, America, and like they have like libertarian values and shit. But this is illegal. They realized what was happening, and they made a call literally to the feds. Um, but essentially, I mean, I just think this shit backfired on him. I think he thought he had the acumen and the know-how, and he was going to get on stand and like really explain himself and turn over people. Now, granted, it is something that only him and Kelly Meggs, his like right hand man guy, were the only ones who had the seditious conspiracy charge. It's much lighter for the others. Now, granted, this article does kind of say, hey, maybe Merrick Garland, prosecution, are gonna like lean to do more. It does open up the chance to do that, but I don't think it's gonna be a big wave. I think this is kind of the biggest like highlight, maybe even. Because I just don't think we're gonna get the big man. I don't think we're gonna get Trump on this shit, y'all. I mean, I say we like I'm involved, like, but I mean, hey, it's crazy. It's crazy how much legal bullshit Trump's under, and how he just keeps like just Batman chesting it, Superman chest on the whole thing. Fucking Teflon. I don't know. We'll see. Let's move along. I got the next bump from Reuters. Biden signs bill to block U.S. railroad strike. So, Congress, Biden, they got together. I guess we can just read the first sentence here. Or President Joe Biden signed legislation Friday to block a national U.S. railroad strike that could have devastated the American economy. I'm gonna tell you, there are times where you really, if you're a news person, you're a newsy, whatever, you can see the shit. I think, and it's whether or not you're like, well, it's biased to me or whatever. So fine, I'm taking it. It's cool, or it's against you, and so therefore you see it, and it's easier to see for you because it's like, what the fuck? There's no way this is this way. There's no way this news should be interpreted this way. But a lot of the news on this, a lot of the coverage on the situation has been either like, hey, we're trying to be neutral here. Like, we understand that these union people need the things that they need, but also they're essential workers, and if they're not operating the railroads, so much is going to go wrong. It's going to go all bad. The whole America's going to blow up. And honestly, yes, it would be very terrible. It would be very bad if the union rail strike went through, and it came to full bore. There would be severe consequences for the American economy. That is very true. That is factual. But when you get into the guts, which I do appreciate that, a lot of news, if you look around, and in this article they go to show too, at least a bit, that like, look, railroads, like in terms of like the overall like services, the companies here, they've been making great profits. They have not been losing money, but that has not been trickling down to the people who work. And the whole point of a union is to make sure that you are getting paid what you were worth, that you are getting your proper, quality safety on the job, and that you're getting your quality of life outside of the job. That you're allowed to be a human being and actually live and enjoy yourself. Things of that nature. You should be allowed that. I don't care what your job is. I don't care how essential you are. I think that's crazy if you think otherwise. I don't know. Now Biden, Mr. Bossman Byron, he platformed on being a union guy, a union president, that he was the most union president, Jack Corn Pop. Well, it doesn't seem that way. It just doesn't feel that way. When you make this kind of move, when you say, hey, Congress, I need you guys to get a bill and we need to intercede on this. And, the House comes up with a bill. Now, initially the House says, okay, well, And now, also to get more details here, 8 out of 12 did agree with what top brass was coming with to the unions and stuff and saying, here, we'll give you more money, but we aren't going to give you the sick days you want, but we're going to give you more vacation days, which you'd have to use if you are sick. And then if you don't have that to cover, well, then you're shit out of luck, and you're gonna have to just get it how you live, unpaid, um, or just not have vacations and shit like that. Like, it's just bad news bears for you, um, which is no good. Like, it's understandable why 4 out of those 12 said no. Like, we're gonna go full out, and essentially the way it works is if it's not unanimous here, then we're not going to cross the picket line. You know what I mean? Like, yes, we are okay with this plan, but if they are not, then we are not. But essentially, Biden said, fuck that, Jack, and went dark Brandon on it. Now, it went from the House to the Senate, and the Senate said, okay, all right. And also, mind you, too, these are Democrats working with Republicans to force this issue, which is never a fucking good situation. It's really sad that when we get the most bipartisan, it's kind of to fuck people over. And once again, it is being guised as, well, we're saving the economy. We're saving the American economy. I mean, I guess, but we're also fucking people over. I mean, that's my opinion. But once again, these are Isaiah's newsstands, opinions and perspectives. But I mean, damn, I thought that was really fucked up for someone who says they are pro union and they organize this shit. Sorry, I'm kind of once again twisting and turning. But in the Senate, they said fuck the sick pay part though, because the House said, okay, yeah, we'll make sure you at least get that. 7 days though is not that much. That is literally a bone thrown and then discarded by the Senate. They said, nope, you can't have that. So, yay, awesome. Thank you, democracy. I mean, I don't know. It'll remain to be seen where they're going to go from here. But I guess the American economy is saved. Thumbs up. Next bump. Living on Yahoo News and the Associated Press. We're back at it. San Francisco will allow police to deploy robot dogs that kill. Man, that is the banger headline of the week, by the way. I had to talk about this. I had to. Plus, it is interesting. It's scary. It's a little dystopian. But I mean, I don't know if you guys remember it. I want to say the first time I saw a robot dog. Now, I'm not sure in this article the robots that they're talking about potentially arming are going to be dogs, or they're going to be drones. Are they going to be literally fucking robots with guns? Are we going to get RoboCop? I don't know. All right. I haven't dug that far, but from what I've heard, from what I've read, oh, hold on. Let me give my little anecdotal bullshit. I do remember, I think it was during the George Floyd protests. I'm not sure. Maybe it was, I feel like that had to have been it because it was during that time. I remember being on Twitter and I saw, and so I mean, hey, I'm already on Twitter. Who knows if it's real or not, right? But essentially, I remember seeing like the robot dogs. It was like a version of what Boston Dynamics was doing, only it was a dog patrolling. And I do remember hearing and reading like situations where they had these things like kind of like patrolling, essentially doing a little bit of light patrol, and hearing of situations where people were getting like potentially like stomped on by the dog, like not like, oh my god, I'm on the ground getting trampled, but like potentially this dog can run up on you and like hit you in the foot, or you're walking past it or whatever, right? So that's already unsettling, right? No, not the craziest thing I've ever heard, whatever. We're not full blown Minority Report, but I mean, this is the advancement of that. Essentially, in San Francisco, they got the okay to potentially use it in certain circumstances, and they're saying very specific circumstances. Let's see. But the department could deploy robots equipped with explosive charges to contact, incapacitate, or disorient violent, armed, or dangerous suspect. I guess they meant A or whatever. When lives are at stake, SFPD spokesman, blah, 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 said in a statement. Okay, whatever. But, I mean, they're saying, hey, it's gonna be super minor, super limited. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. It's chill. Apparently though, they say too, they reference I think a story in 2016 that took place. Yeah, the first time a robot was used to deliver explosives in the U.S. was in 2016 when Dallas sent in an armed robot that killed a hold-up sniper who had killed 5 officers in an ambush. So, I mean, let's do a little pro con here. I'll play a little devil's advocate, I guess, whatever. It does save lives, quote unquote. Yes, for sure. If you're a cop, you don't potentially get your face blown off. You potentially have the robot go in and blow off someone else's face. But obviously, it leaves concerns and worries about, like, well, oh my fucking god, this, and also another thing I should add too, the robot does not have autonomy. It is being controlled. That is another thing to add. We are not actually getting RoboCop. Even though technically RoboCop was a man, we can get into that if you want to, get into the logistics of it. He was, shit. I feel like you technically call him a cyborg, right? He wasn't an android. Androids you make them track, right? Yeah, I don't think he was an android. I think he was a cyborg. You can fight me on a forum or message me. I don't know. But, I mean, it's icky. We're in a quagmire. But, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the future has for us. And then we're going to close out. Same bang that we start off with. No clamp. Let me hit this break and we can get into it. But we're going to talk about Jones. But we have a spicy feature for the Jones. For the Alex Jones. Ooh. Okay. All right. We're loose. We're back. Now, this is a bit of a two-parter. So, part one, scene in business. Alex Jones has filed for personal bankruptcy. Our our info warrior, our InfoWars warrior, Alex Jones, is trying to pull a weasel move. He's trying to think it. I love this opener. Right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones filed for personal Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in Texas court on Friday. Essentially, our man Alex Jones, he's trying to do this to fade the plus $1 billion he is now fixing to owe for more or less spreading fucking false information about crisis actors who are actually dead kids in the Sandy Hook Massacre. Don't want to get too in the weeds about it. Obviously, you can Google what the Sandy Hook Massacre was to, catch yourself up to speed on that. Very sad shit. Alex Jones used that to cook his books to make a lot of fucking money for his hokey dokey tactical baths, for his vitamin bullshit supplements that don't do fucking anything. But he was literally having people go out in the streets and find these parents of dead, students from dead kids and harass them. And he was just doing this constantly. Even during the trial, he was harassing the judge. He was harassing the people who were going on the stand. He was relentless. Didn't do him any fucking good. Only made shit worse for this fucker. So now he's trying to do it. He's gonna dig further into the American system and try to get out of this shit through a bankruptcy. Now he even tried to brag that this was his plan, that he's like, they're not going to get $1 out of me. You guys should donate to my shit right now. And if you donate to me, it's going to go straight to my legal team to mount my bankruptcy. It's not hard to do a fucking bankruptcy, honestly. That's speaking from personal experience. Essentially he's trying to do this and, he's hoping that this is going to shield him from having to pay all this money. Now, the way bankruptcies work, certain things you will have to pay for. They're just on the hook. You cannot get around them. And a legal like debt that you have like this is going to be one of those fucking things. I mean, obviously, I'm not a lawyer, but I am listening to lawyers say this shit, who they have, referenced in the article. I should have their names, but we're loose here. We're loosey goosey. That's why I reference the article and I give you, the listener, the chance to look it up yourself if you feel the need. Or, we can walk along the path together, listening to me. And then, like I said, you have the paper in your hand and you leave the newsstand with the information that I've given you. I did find the name, what is it? Christopher Matee? Yeah, like every other cowardly move Alex Jones has made, this bankruptcy will not work. Let's see, do they have more here? The bankruptcy system does not protect anyone who engages in intentional and egregious acts on others, as Mr. Jones did. The American judicial system will hold Alex Jones accountable, and we will never stop working to enforce the jury's verdict. So, obviously we'll keep you posted on how that goes. But we got to talk about some other shit that Alex Jones did, because on his InfoWars show, he had a couple of special guests. Special guests that we have been referencing and covering heavily on the Patreon content. And I just felt like, this shit has been so big and so palpable. And even though this isn't, once again, it's not major news, I try not to do too much pop shit, especially if it's like toxic pop shit. I try not to do too much of that on the main. But with Alex Jones, with Kanye West, the names are just kind of too big not to sometimes. I mean, shit, technically Elon Musk gets involved in this fucking story. So, we're hitting a lot of trifectas here. We're hitting a lot of people. But I'm going to use an article for reference here. NPR. Ye says, I see good things about Hitler on conspiracy theorist Alex Jones' show. And he had tons of quotes like that throughout. My guy comes in zipped up in a full-on like zip up ski mask thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ye has been known for wearing funky little masks and stuff like this. But I mean, I could not imagine, for one, he talks for 4 hours. 4 hours! Literally, I'm not saying he talks 4 hours. I'm saying he talks for literally 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. And it's just all just bullshit conspiracies. Anti-Semitic conspiracies. Let's get specific. Let's talk about what he's talking about here. He also goes into these weird views about pornography, also equating to child what's the word I'm looking for? Child porn. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? What are you saying? He's just saying the most insane shit as possible. He's also accompanied with Nick Fuentes, a known white supremacist. Essentially, Alex Jones is just yucking him up. He's just having him, talk. But I gotta say, it is insane when I'm literally in the timeline that we have Ye, formerly known as Kanye fucking West, saying something that is so insane that Alex Jones has to put distance between himself. He has to nervously laugh and say, hey, that's not what I don't agree with that. I don't like Nazis. And you can just see him trying to do the smoothing and edging throughout the whole procedure, where he's trying to almost get Ye to rein him in, to be yeah, you don't necessarily hate all the Jews or anything like that. It's not that. It's just you don't like George Soros. But it's literally he's describing George Soros and the way he's describing him, Alex Jones is, and he's no, I like Nazi shit. He just can't stress enough that if you are doing things that are fascist, it's kind of cool to him. And I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know the end game. And you could try to blame it on mental illness. Blow it out your fanny at this point, if you ask me. Like, at the end of the day, Kanye West has a responsibility. Like, you are a celebrity. The things you say have weight. And you can get into free speech, because it's kind of, I guess, the next part of this. Because throughout the thing, the video, it's kind of discussed or whatever, that Ye's like, oh, I let Alex like use my account to tweet, and then I also let Nick Fuentes use my account to tweet, my Twitter account, and they are both still suspended, according to Elon Musk, and according to they haven't been unbanned or whatever. And then he says all this shit. Then he also after the video, I believe, or maybe it was during the video, he might have been tweeting. I don't fucking know. He's doing a lot. Essentially, he posts more anti-Semitic shit. He posts, I think it was like a Star of David fused with a swastika or some dumb shit. It's so weird. And Elon Musk decides to suspend him. So, I mean, the shit was just such a fucking shit show. There was so much in it. I would not suggest you watch it. It's fucking wild and insane and dumb and unhinged. There was also another like special guest lady on there. She was like a Jewish person, but she was like saying like, no, like I do believe that cancel culture is ridiculous and all this stuff. And like, I remember seeing her from before, but then I didn't recognize her until I saw her other picture when I looked her up. I cannot remember her name, and it's better that way. People do not deserve any of the clout. But just she had done like I guess a bunch of like plastic surgery, so she was just not recognizable at all. But she's just the ickiest people when you get into these people's bios and their whole shit. Kanye West is choosing to align himself with them. I guess for this quote unquote presidency. I don't know. Whatever. But hell, I know I'm ending on a little bit of a sour note, but that is the news. I won't keep you too much longer. But if you would like to help out, be a part of this podcast experiment, if you will, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Isaiah News. $5 will make you a newsie. Essentially, being a newsie gets you bonus content. You can get a little bit more details on this Kanye West bullshit I've been talking about. Some Twitter shit. More or less, it's a little bit more of the fluff, more of the gut, like not so much of the guts, if you will. But sometimes it bleeds through. Like I did wind up talking about the China protests. Actually, I did that on a Monday episode of this week. So I mean that happened. That's a thing. But I mean, obviously, these are kind of things you can obviously look up on your own for sure. But if you'd like to hear my perspective, it's on the Patreon. It's paywall. Sorry. You can also get the shout outs. I can do those once a month. I'm actually off my game, but I'm not gonna miss it. Denver McIntosh. I know I'm just freewheeling here. Sorry. Stephanie Renee, the queen, the one, the only, the alpha, the first newsie. Thank you guys for being a newsie. You're great. I gave you flowers earlier, but it's the first of the month. So you had to do that. But yeah, you get that. That happens. Your name could be on the roll. Also, I have a Discord. That's a thing. But free ways to hit me up. Let's see. I have Google Mail, Gmail, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. And then I am on all the socials. Even Hive, which apparently their systems went down and they got hacked. And your information could have got fucking exposed. That's lit. Awesome. But anyway, that's the news. Hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.